Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast and we are back. Oh, Tottenham Hotspur. That was quite simply magnifique, wasn't it? Magnifique from Tottenham Hotspur. A proper professional away performance in a game where Spurs went into it, of course, having not kept a clean sheet in their last 10. And I'm sure Jason will mention this throughout the show, that on a number of these different games we've had recently where players' performances were most certainly put into question, there was so much hard work in abundance and a great night for under pressure, under fire, and Postecoglou at full time was high-fiving all of his coaching staff around him as Spurs do advance to a semi-final tie over two legs against Bodo Glimt. Yeah, Bodo Glimt Tottenham are going to face in the semi-finals in a tremendous night for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And look, we're not going to get away from it. As everybody knows, this has been such a tough season for every single, I would say, listener, viewer, contributor on this show. And we're going to enjoy this. You know, this is an opportunity, a night where we can just have a night of tough conversations and have a bit of fun, have a bit of enjoyment, because that is what football is all about. And exactly after 6 years from that iconic win at the Etihad, Spurs have gone and done it all over again, of course, in Germany to set up a incredible, you've got to say, semi-final where will Tottenham ever get a better chance to get back to a European final once again, of course. And I've got to just say, just a thing Bodo Glimt, who Tottenham are going to face in that next round, can I just say, fascinating stat about Tottenham's next opponent. The population of the town in which Bodo Glimt originate is less than the capacity of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's going to be fascinating. It's going to be brilliant. Helping me on this last word on Spurs, dissect, break it down. I'm joined by Compère Richard Cracknell, actor Darren Hartman, and back from Thailand for a very short time before he goes back there again, Jason McGovern returns to the panel for I Know What Him. It's, again, a massive night for Spurs in Europe, a glory night, and we've not had too many in recent years. Before I bring in the guys, let me bring you in the match facts and the stats from Spurs' 1-0 win against Frankfurt, 2-1 on aggregate. Look, 14 shots for Frankfurt at Spurs' 12. Frankfurt edging the shots on target 5-3. They also did dominate touches in the box, 37-22, but Tottenham from there really, 18 tackles apiece. Spurs advance on interception 16-6. Recoveries 60 in Spurs' favour to Bodo Glimt. Bodo Glimt, we're not there just yet. Frankfurt's 48. Clearance-wise, 53 for Spurs to 21 for Frankfurt. Tottenham showing possession 48% to 52%. And on XG, over the course of the tie, the two legs, Tottenham, most certainly the more the dominative figure, 3.20 to Frankfurt's 1.65. But, Cracks, let me open with you, because Spurs did produce one of their best displays under Ange Postecoglou to book and march on and reach a first semi-final in this competition for 41 years. I will come back on that 41-year point because, again, we're going to relay that during the show on that point. But look, it's Spurs' first European semi-final since, of course, the Ajax incredible tie we had 5-6 years ago. Solanke's penalty, the difference, but that was a team fighting for the club, fighting for the fans and the manager. Take me away, Cracks, what you made of that win.
Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everybody that's watching live and then listening back. And look, Rick, let me apologise, because normally we're late onto air because of yourself. I can't lie. 99% of the time we're late on because you're late on, because you're a busy man with a life outside of Tottenham. So, but tonight you're chasing me up. Cracks, where are you? We're late. Come on, we've got to get on air. Now, the reason I'm late is because my eldest son, William Nicholson Cracknell, he's gone to Frankfurt this evening. He started at 5 o'clock this morning. I had a text message come through at 5 o'clock this morning with a pint of Leffe in the bar, in the spoons at Stansted. So he said, "Dad, I'm having breakfast." 5 a.m. this morning. It's finished with he's come out the stadium this evening, and the police have taken them through a forest, literally through a forest, as they've let them out late. So he's rung me and said, "Dad, what's going on in the other game? What's going on in the Bodo Glimt game?" So I've switched the video and I'm showing him the game on my TV. Like I've got like this projector screen. It's about 20 foot wide up on the wall. So now I've got video on my phone and I'm showing the penalties in the Bodo Glimt game. Now, there's probably 500 Tottenham gathered round my lad's phone watching the penalties to see who we've got in the semi-final in a forest in Germany. I'm in the Canary Islands. This game's going on wherever it's going on. He's in Germany. I'm in the Canary Islands. The game's going on. Technology. And when Bodo Glimt's done it, everybody's just going nuts in the middle of a forest in Frankfurt. And that's why we're late, ladies and gents. But that is football for you. And tonight, wow. Just wow, Rick. First off, I want to pay tribute to every Spurs fan that goes home and away and has put up with some absolute tosh this season. And there's been some real tosh. My lad said to me, "Dad, come Germany, I've got a spare ticket." I said, "Oh, no, I'm not going to go. But he has literally gone home and away this season following them. Had some real heartache. And today we got this. They got this. So more than, of course, the players, of course, Ange Postecoglou, of course, Tottenham, of course, everybody watching around the world as they do on this show. But just for them boys and girls and men and women and everybody that went out today to Germany from like all places around Europe and the world and got in that stadium and just got behind the boys with a little bit of belief. Tonight's for you. Tonight is absolutely for you. Thank you very much.
Cracks, what an intro. What an intro. I always think Cracks can't up his introductions and then we get another one. Darren, let me bring you in. Look, it was a night where Spurs really matured of age. You know, I think a lot has been, I would say, targeted at this group of players for their lack of ability of being able to not only see out games, but maybe their lack of courage, desire across the season. I think Dominic Solanke, a player that was his first goal in 12, showed tremendous, not only courage, but conviction in the way he took the penalty and slotted it past the goalkeeper, where, look, you could have argued on the night, nerves may very well have got the better of him, but he took it so well. And that was the difference. You have to say that was the difference. You also have to say James Maddison's bravery being shown to obviously be part of that match-winning penalty itself when he knew he was going to be clattered, suggests that these players are still very much fighting, whether it's for themselves, whatever you may think about that. But it looks like they're still fighting for this manager. And I think the scenes at full-time most certainly showed that. What was your takeaways, Dow, from a night where Spurs do advance back to a semi-final in European football and set up a interesting tie against Bodo Glimt, where you would imagine Spurs will be the favourite across those two legs, and a real genuine opportunity to finally end this 17-year trophy drought?
It's just a lovely evening to be smiling about our team. We can smile together. That's what I'm taking from today. We've had such a horrid season. It's been up and down. Today, every player gave something. Every player put in a shift. Everyone worked. Everyone gave what they had to give. And that's all we ask as fans. Kratz made a great point about the fans who travel to watch, and they've been disappointed on a number of occasions. Today, everyone smiles together. The system worked. They performed well. They worked for each other. They worked for the manager. They played for the shirt. And that's what you get when you do it. Football sometimes is easy when you just do your job. And everyone today, every man to a man, did their job. And that's why the fans are happy. That's why we're smiling today. And again, we're the fans who get to go into our office tomorrow and smile. Whatever your place of work is, you get to be proud, to have the badge on, to wear the colours, to celebrate. And that's all we ask for. A bit of commitment, a bit of passion, a bit of pride. And finally, we saw it. Will we see it again? I really hope so, because that's what we're capable of. That is what Spurs have in the kit bag when it's all done properly. And all I can say is let's enjoy today. Let's absolutely enjoy it, and let's enjoy tomorrow, because we get the hangover tomorrow. We get to see the tabloids and all the chat, and let's enjoy it, because we haven't had much to celebrate this year. So I'm living on this. I'm living on it.
I love that, Dale. I mean, I know, Jace, having spoke to you off air, I know one of your biggest frustrations really across the season is a lot on the players and their maybe lack of, whether you want to call it fight, desire, attitude to perform. Because I think there was no doubt, actually, upon us being drawn against Eintracht Frankfurt, there's no doubt, I think we knew talking about the quality to get past the team over the two legs. It was whether they would be able to apply themselves in the correct manner, the correct way, in order to progress. And I think what the players have shown over the course of the two legs, especially the away leg, for how they handled not only the atmosphere, but the way we played and we took our game to the opposition, was it's in there. The skill's in there. The talent is in there. The will is in there. And now they've set that barrier. How important is it, Jace, that they maintain that level now? Because they've shown us they can do it. If anybody questioned whether this player's talent was the biggest problem of all.
I don't think their talent has ever been in question. I've questioned their heart, their desire, their commitment, their guts, their bollocks, for want of a better phrase, because they've hid all season behind all the anger going at one man. And I understand the criticism that one man has taken. I understand the mockery that he always wins in his second season, and here we are in his second season still with a chance to win. But you know, when you give an honest answer to a question, you have to be mocked for it. There's every single defeat, all the fingers have been pointed at one man. And I've said, particularly after Wolves on Saturday, that some of those defeats aren't down to tactics. They're down to lack of commitment, lack of effort, mistake after mistake, players not fighting, not showing what you have to do to win a football match. And tonight, they've shown it. And guess what? We're praising his tactics tonight. But, you know, did he tell them to do anything different tonight than he's told them to do 25 other times this season, when those players just laid down and died, like they did at Wolves, like they did at Fulham, like they've done numerous times this season, like they did in a second leg at Anfield when they just lay down, like they did in the first half at Everton when they just laid down. But no, they hid behind one man, taking all the criticism for them. And tonight, and games like Hoffenheim, they actually showed some guts, some fight. And guess what? We go and get a result. So, you know, I understand the criticism of one man, but those players have got away with it far too long this season. And we've lost 21 games, not because of a manager's clueless and out of his depth, because he cares every time we lose. But players that have lost at Fulham and lost at Wolves have just not cared about the result that day. And that's why we've lost 21 games this season. And it's on them far more than it is on him, for my opinion. But they absolutely showed some guts tonight. They fought for every ball. I'm looking at your stats. More interceptions, more recoveries, more clearances. Where were those at Wolves? Where were those at Wolves? Same bunch of players. Same group of players as such. Do you think Ange said to them on Saturday, no, don't clear the ball, kick it in your own net? No, they actually showed tonight a bit of fight and guts, and that gets you a long way regardless of what tactical plan you come up with.
I mean, look, there's a lot to get into there. And I think, you know, as Ange actually said before the game, if you don't think he's a good coach, one game isn't going to change your opinion. And I've actually, you know, I've made that point throughout that I don't think a game should really be your defining answer as to whether or not a manager should keep their job. But the reality is that I think, as we know, look, this is a big, big result for many, many Spurs fans out there that want to go and see this team win a trophy, want to go and see this team get over the line. I am going to bring Andrew's comments in very, very shortly. But I mean, just to pivot over to you, Crackers, on the points Jason is making there, I think there's valid ones in there with regards to obviously the players need to take accountability. I mean, you could argue were a lot of those players just doing what they can be capable of because it's a big game for them. I think there's no doubt, there's, as Jason has understood as well, there's a lot of question marks over some of Andy's tactics throughout the season. But I mean, look, this is a night that really belongs to the fans because we've got a result. We've got ourselves in a semi-final. What did you make of those performances from the players? And again, it will come back to that point that why can't these players show that level of performance in other games?
No, I can't make Jace wrong with any of that. He's absolutely spot on. Why can't we take this into Premier League games? Why can't we show what we've done tonight at Wolves away at the weekend? And that's the big kicker in all of this, Rick, because as I've said to you, like privately and on here, that this squad, this team have got that in them. They have got that in them. Now, why that they've just chosen this competition to actually show this and not full time, I don't know. I don't know what the factors are that play into this. It's almost as if, I don't know, maybe they read the press and that Tottenham are absolutely too bob in the Premier League and you're no good. And yet when they get into this competition, they go from like Brazil 1970 to Alan Brazil to today with I don't know, Rick. I just don't know. It's like they come out the traps in the Premier League already being told that you're a team just about avoiding relegation, and then in the press tomorrow they'll be told that yes, you can do this, you can win this. So I don't know. It's just like football is just so much more than football. To be able to play football just seems about 10% of being a footballer. It's what you can take into a game with some belief and some heart and some determination. And when we get into this competition, it's almost like everybody's told them your season hinges on this. And they suck that up, every last drop of it, and throw it into the performance. And then all of a sudden you go into the Premier League and you're like, who's this team? That's not who you are in this like Europa League. I don't know, Rick. It's weird. Can we bottle what we've got tonight and take this into every game? I just don't see why we can't do it. It's just, it is nuts. It is absolutely nuts. But is football just not nuts? I think like Man United are in the same boat as us. The Newcastle at the weekend, they were absolutely they were just awful. Absolutely, they stunk the place out. And Newcastle didn't even have their manager there. They just stunk the place out. But Newcastle seemed to suck up that adversity because their manager wasn't there and turn it into a performance. And Man U just folded. And yet we saw tonight what Man United done. It's just but it's kind of why we all love football as well. So, oh man, I don't know. I'm just a retired train driver from London, living the dream. You might want to get a sports psychologist on here one night, Rick, for a show.
Well, we done that a few weeks ago. And we were told we were emotionally scarred, as you remember. Only a few weeks ago, we tried that. I mean, look, it's a tremendous night.
It's crazy, Rick, and it is crazy.
Football
It's
is, I mean,
just-
as we said,
it's nuts.
football is one of those unexplainable
bonkers.
things. I mean,
It's
from one
bonkers.
game to another, how things can change. I think everybody knows that really ahead of this show. I think there was a feeling that, given recent form, there wouldn't have been a lot of people that were backing Spurs to go out and do what they did tonight. And I think what was so impressive was the way in which they asserted themselves now on the opposition and just the maturity of the performance. I think you have to say that's probably the most mature we've seen across the season. And that's actually the first time Frankfurt had failed to score at home in over a year. So, Tottenham are keeping a side out that really are a decent side. They're a real force to be reckoned with at home. And again, it goes back to, that point I said to Cracks there, Dal. Is there a way in which we kind of can translate this form into the domestic form? Because I think the difficulty now, as we know, is that people might not want to hear this. We've got some maybe meaningless games coming up, and maybe that shouldn't be right to say the term meaningless in terms of Premier League, because fans have bought their tickets to go and see the team against Nottingham Forest, to go and see the team, of course, against Liverpool coming up. How do we play out these next few weeks in a way in which fans can be still very, very excited come this business end of the season, whereas we know Spurs are realistically now, they're 3 games away from a European final.
What would I do? I would be transparent and go, the league currently
2 games away from a final.
2 games. 2 games away.
Yeah, I
Two
wasn't
games
good
away.
enough to get through.
2 games away. Thanks.
If I was in control, what I would do, I'll show pure transparency, and I'll say, you know what? The league is going to be used in a completely different way. I'll be looking at the squad, testing Archie Gray in the holding midfield role, play people that haven't played. I'd probably call back some of the people on loan, mix them up for those games. I would use it as purely as development and go, the fans are going to see Kinski's going to play. I'm going to put people in and go, look, we're going to just enjoy the league. We're not going to worry about it. Just enjoy it. You know what? Give me a run out. Give me 15 minutes. I wouldn't put pressure on it, because ultimately, everyone's going to want to be wrapped in cotton wool. You're not going to want to play Van der Ven in those games. You're going to be trying to safeguard everybody for, as Jay's quite rightly said, 2 big games. That's what we've got left. 2 big games that are absolutely winnable, and it's in our hands. I would love to say we could build momentum and use those games to get the confidence up, but it seems like football's gone a bit mental right now, that you can play really atrociously in the week and suddenly turn up and look like we did today, and there's no logic, there's no connection. And as Jason quite rightly said, you go, what is with the players? Because you can't put it on the manager. Today, if we look at what we did tactically, and got everything spot on today. If you want to look at the manager, up to substitutions, selection, he did it absolutely perfectly. There's been times where he sent out a team that in his head probably was perfect, but to a man, they've not done their jobs. Today, everyone read the script and delivered. And it must be so infuriating as a manager to look at your squad and go, if they gave me that every week, where would we be in the league? Where would we be? Yes, we've had injuries and worries, but we've got a squad of players that have ability. Like you look at Bertbell, he was bought not for now, and he's now very much now. He's established, he's in there, and that came through the adversity of losing players at the start of the season. So there've been so many weird roads we've had to go through to get here, and now we're here. Let's try and manage it as best we can, but let's also find that place of going, Spurs fans, I love you all. I'm one of you. I'm family. Let's not lose our heads when he mixes up the team for Nottingham Forest and the performance isn't as cohesive and it doesn't work like it did tonight, and we start throwing our toys out the pram. We can't do that. We just can't. If we're in that mentality, it's going to make it harder for ourselves this season. We have to accept we're playing for 2 games. Everything between that is going to be up and down, but we are playing for 2 games now. We've got to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, I'm going to bring in Andy's comment shortly. I am. I mean, Jason, I do want to ask you about a player, Dominic Solanke. To be fair, I mean, I've seen there's been quite a lot of recent criticism of Dominic, of course, because I think up until this game, he hadn't scored an 11. And obviously, you know, when a striker is judged on scoring goals and came from a place where last season, I think he had, between 18 to 20 at Bournemouth. You know, we know how difficult that is to adjust to a new system, new manager, new setting, bigger club, with no disrespect to Bournemouth. But I think, to show the maturity and the courage and the calmness that he showed in slotting that penalty aside, because a player like him, I'm sure, he would have understood the pressure on him going into the game, being Tottenham's, dare I say, that number 9 role that he's playing, being the goal scorer. How much praise do you give Dominic? And also, I've got to say, I think when you look at the performance overall, whilst Dominic did score the winning goal, I thought Destiny Udogie, who, to be fair, this season has also taken a huge amount of criticism overall for maybe not being at the levels of his first campaign at Tottenham. I think he was probably our man of the match across this game. And I've got to say that over the 2 legs, he won 12 out of 18 ground duels in what was a dominant performance over the 2 legs from Destiny Udogie, and maybe answers those critics of Ange why he did decide to bring him in instead of Jed Spence. I mean, it is a night to talk about certain players. What did you make about those 2 in particular? And we need you to unmute first if you can.
Well, with Dom, his work rate was astonishing tonight. How he chased that ball back in the first half when Johnson broke to set Tell up with that chance, when he came so deep. He still didn't, actually, I don't think he really had a genuine effort at goal tonight, apart from the penalty from open play. I still want to see him get on the end of chances and things like that. And we're still not creating enough for him. But his work rate tonight was terrific. And when the penalty came, he took it so calmly. I think, if you haven't scored from 11 games, your confidence can be down. But it's probably a little bit, his probably confidence isn't as low, because it's not like he's missing 5 or 6 chances a game, is it? He's just not getting any chances. And so with a chance to take the penalty tonight, it would have been interesting to see who was down to take the penalties tonight, because obviously Sonny's our main penalty taker. And it would have been interesting to see if Maddison was next on penalties, because he's taken a couple of penalties for us, whether Maddison would have been in front of Solanke. But obviously with Maddison being down treated, then Solanke's, almost a late choice. The way that Postecoglou was shouting Dom makes me think that the pre-match penalty taker was probably Maddison, and that there was a little bit of confusion as to who should take it. So with all of that going on, he took it so calmly, put it away, and his work rate and that was astonishing. But I still want to see him. I still want to see him in the box getting chances. That's the thing, more so than he is at the moment. But when he had to be composed, he showed plenty of composure. Up until the injury, he was playing really well for us, wasn't he? So I'm not jumping on his back for sure over what's been for the last 11 games. Destiny Udogie was terrific, gave us lots of energy. I thought over the 2 legs he probably was our best player. Certainly at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last week, I thought he had a terrific game. And we was a little bit unlucky to see him go off injured. But it's just a team performance. Bentancur was a much better Bentancur than we've seen in so many games.
Yep.
Pedro Porro fighting for every ball.
Yep.
Christian Romero, apart from one Dolly Daydreams moment in the first half, where he stepped up when he didn't need to step up, and suddenly there was a ball straight over the top. But how he fought and showed a little bit more character than he did at Wolves on Saturday and things, until one moment of madness right at the end almost cost us. But, when these players step up and show a little bit more, show the character, show the fight, rather than just leaving it all for Bergvall, it's amazing what type of performance you get, isn't it? And they stood up to it. And, Mickey in the pre-match press conference telling people, I don't know why I'm not playing. He knows why he's not playing. He knows how important he is. He knows how often he's been injured. You don't need to heap pressure on managers by making a comment like that. And Postecoglou stood by him earlier in the season when he perhaps could have said 1 or 2 of the reasons why Mickey was getting injured and kept them to himself. And it would have been nice if Mickey had done that himself. But we saw from him how important he was to the team tonight, and just why he must be wrapped up in cotton wool for those Glimt games, and why I don't want to see him chasing Anthony Elanga 60 yards down the pitch.
Can we win it? Cracks? Let's come to you. Can we win it? If you were to offer Spurs at the start of maybe the European campaign, the fact that in a semi-final, you'd have the opportunity of playing Bodo Glimt, that would stand in between you reaching a European final, I think many of us would take it. But what you mustn't do, I think, is underestimate, because we have been here before. If you do remember, with young boys in the Champions League having to play on an artificial pitch, right? And I think, that was maybe the downfall of that first leg, that we did underestimate that artificial pitch. I mean, we've obviously got this time around a different situation where Spurs are at home in the first leg and therefore can maybe build an advantage before going to Bodo Glimt. But when I make that point again, for those that missed it, what I said at the start of the show, that the population of the town in which Bodo Glimt originate in is less than the capacity of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Now, we know Spurs have maybe got a issue in dealing with being sometimes the favourite going into a two-legged tie. But, I mean, realistically, there will be a lot of heavy pressure on Tottenham to go through, given the opposition that we stand between in this one.
Rick, how many weeks have I said to you, we can win this if our attitude is right? We've got the players to win this. We said it on the show, and when we've spoken on the phone, I've said we can win this. We can win this. It's all about the attitude and the application that we put into this competition. So, yeah, we absolutely can win it. And us as fans have to believe that we can win it. And we have to get behind the team like we can win it. I think this is something that Ange alluded to a couple of weeks ago, where he said that, he feels like the only person in the world that's getting behind Tottenham and banging the drum for Tottenham. And, he's just saying, I just feel like I'm a lone voice. So I said to you this before the first leg of the semi-final, put everything aside, get behind these boys, have a bit of belief in Tottenham. Just have some belief that we can do it. And you know what? If us from the terraces think that transfers through to the players and they pick up on that vibe, and away we go. So we absolutely can win this. Look, forget Bodo Glimt's population is whatever it is. Where I live, the town next to me, Yaitsa, they're in the second division of Spain. And I mean, I think there's more people that live in my house than live in Yaitsa. They're honestly, Rick, I'm telling you, their goalkeeper, Norzet Perez, was the goalkeeper for Apoel when we played them in the Champions League. He's played against Messi. He's played against Ronaldo, Son, Kane. He's played in the Champions League. He lives in the village next door to me, the other side of the volcano. And they're in the second division of Spain. So, don't be thinking that because, you're from some little town, in the back of nowhere, where I live, you can't play football. So we need to go into this semi-final against Bodo Glimt and give them the respect that they deserve, because they've made a semi-final of a European, of a major, the second. Yeah, I get the Champions League, the Champions League.
As regular listener says here, John Jules, they've already beaten Lazio, Porto, Olympiacos,
correct,
Besiktas, Braga. Correct. They've done Galatasaray away. Yeah. I mean, listen, they're no mugs. They're no mugs.
If you think there's some Norwegian fish farmers with roll necks on that go out on their boats every day and then turn up and have a game of football, forget it. You're going to get your asses handed to you on a plate. You're going to have to turn up and play these boys home and away. They'll give you a game. So I want Tottenham to go into this game in the semi-final versus Bodo Glimt like they would if they were playing a Real Madrid or a Barcelona or a Milan. Go in there with the right attitude, because these boys can play some football. No way do you get to this stage in a major European competition and not have something about you. You really don't. So, but I still back us. I back us to be able to do it. If we show what we did tonight,
That's the key.
we've gone to a bear pit tonight in Germany. That's a bear pit. They've not.
Rocking in there.
Oh man, alive! They've not lost at home for a year, Rick. A year, and to go and do that tonight, if you can do that again, that takes you places.
Does Jason want to come in there?
Yeah, and learn from. We've already had a plastic pitch against a poor team this year, where we showed no desire. Went there with full of complacency at Tamworth. So learn from that as well.
Very good point.
Where again, look at the attitude of players on the day when a manager was determined to win a game and was showing some guts, but players were just strolling around as if they're thinking it's Tamworth, we'll score 7. And they didn't, did they? And they almost lost at Tamworth through that.
But I mean, on this point, Jace, is this anything to do with, in your opinion, this isn't about motivation from Ange to the players? Do you think the players now, this should be about them now, coming together as a group, and they don't want to be a Tottenham team that's remembered for finishing potentially 17th in the league. They want to be a Tottenham team for being potentially remembered for being European heroes for a club that have gone 17 years without a trophy.
How can you need motivating for a European semi-final?
Well, I ask you this because of our nature of the. I ask you because of the nature of some of our cup exits this season alone. Liverpool and Aston Villa.
Absolutely right, mate. But this is a European semi-final with a chance to go and win a trophy to go into the Champions League. You know, Ange Postecoglou shouldn't have to motivate a player to do that. It should be within you. If you're a professional footballer, you should be motivated to win all the time. Don't hide behind somebody having to give you the motivation. Have pride in yourself, pride in your performance, pride in what you can achieve yourself, rather than having to be told what you can do. And, you know, when you go to work tomorrow, do you not have any pride in your own job to perform? Because that's what players need, a bit of pride themselves, instead of just hiding and cowering behind other people all the time.
Dow, do you share Jason's view there as well, that it's now down to these players more than maybe the manager for them to come together like they have shown in this game, where they've set the barometer in what they're capable of, to now go and do this over 2 legs? And again, I will make that point that first against Bodo Glimt is at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with that second leg being, of course, in Bodo Glimt. Are those dates for you? Thursday, the 1st of May at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for the first leg. That second leg, Thursday, the 8th of May, will be, of course, at their stadium. What's your thoughts on that, Dow, as that 2-legged tie?
It's going to be a combination of a lot of things. We definitely can win this cup. And as Jason and Crackers have alluded to, the players have to give the passion and the correct attitude to perform. But it's going to be a coming together. That first game is at our gaff. So as fans, we play our part. We turn up with a full belief that we can do this, and we back them. But we also have to back Ange. We've got to back his starting 11. We've got to back his substitution. We've got to, if he feels like he's the only one banging the drum for Tottenham, we've got to bang it with him.
I will just say one thing. I do know the Spurs fans unequivocally in that stadium, in that home tie, will be behind whoever Ange Postecoglou selects in that 11. They will be behind the team the same way they've been behind them. And I think that's been, I'm not suggesting Dow for 1 second. I know you feel the same as me about our fans. That's been one of my irritations this season, I think, for a lot of people out there, where, you know, certain things have been labelled at the Spurs fan base. You know, this has been one of, in my opinion, the most patient fan bases in world football. They've waited 17 years without a trophy. They're paying the second highest season tickets in Europe around the world. If there's any fan base that deserves success, if there's any fan base that have been calm and composed and waiting for something to cheer about, it's Tottenham Hotspur. And it is about time that not only from the top upwards and downwards in terms of whoever the manager is and the players, they give a little bit back to the fans that have waited so long for a glimpse of success.
So now that moment's here, Rick, let's really hold on to it. Let's make sure that everybody is in there. Let's forget the Ange out chat. Let's lose that for these games. Let's just fully focus on the task at hand. It's 2 games. It's 2 massive games. We win and we get the 17 years. It's over. There's the trophy. That is ripped apart. We don't talk about it anymore. We can't be spoken about as a team who hasn't won anything. Could we go, here's the trophy? Shut your noise. It's here for us. And I think it's going to be a combination of all of that and a bit of luck, because we need the rub of the green. I think with the injuries we've had this season, maybe that will work in our favour as we go into these latter stages of the season, because certain players ain't going to have the heavy legs. They haven't played as many games. We can use the last bit of the season to rest them. I know someone in the comments was talking about if we were competing for the league, would it be different? Isms and schisms. We're not. We're in a situation where all we have to play for is 2 games. And that's where our focus needs to be. We're at a privileged state where we could still get relegated, but we won't. And let's just push forward with that and put it in. And I think, as you quite rightly said, Rick, we have a great fan base. And when we use that voice, it's a strong voice. We heard it in Germany today. They had a fan base and they rocked their stadium. We know we can rock ours and make it a fortress and make it a nightmare for a team, especially a side who probably don't get to play in those stadiums all the time, and make them feel that you're our guest today, and we're going to make you feel the pressure of the semi-final and give it to you. And if we do that, absolutely, it's in our hands. Absolutely, we can do it. And that's what we're here for. We're here for the fairy tale. That's why we're Spurs fans. That's why we're football fans. There is a fairy tale that could be there, but it's going to take work from everybody.
It is indeed.
Rick,
Also, Daz,
Go on, Jace.
what I really want before Bodo Glimt is to go into that semi-final and not hear he'll be gone tonight. Because all I've heard all week is, he'll be gone by the end of the game Thursday night. We haven't even played the game. And we're full of negativity saying somebody's got to go by the end of the... Why has he got to go before the end of the game? We ain't even kicked off yet. And you've got 80% of people saying, I want him out tonight when we lose. Go into a game with a bit of positivity. Go into it like the lot from Anfield do. When they're in a semi-final, they don't talk about losing it, do they? Learn from our Champions League thing where we went for the day out and they go to win it. Show some positivity. And if we lose to Bodo Glimt, jump all over him by all means. But don't spend 2 weeks in the build-up to it constantly saying and debating when's the manager going, because it drains. It's draining on everyone.
Jace, I understand your opinion on that, but you also have to recognise, I'm sure you do, the fans out there have travelled home and away this season that have witnessed 21 defeats across the season, 17 in the Premier League. That is why those fans will rightly maybe feel those conversations need to be had. But in regards to this show here...
do it after the game, not before the game.
Rick, that's why I said to you before the first leg of this semi-final, we've got our issues with Ange. Lots of us have, some haven't. Lots have. And I said, okay, look, let's park it. We've got our issues with the club. We've got our issues with the board.
Yes.
And in that, before that first leg of the semi-final, I said, park the whole fucking lot of it, and just get behind this team. And, you know, that first leg, we should have been 3-4-1 up anyway.
We know that. And we said that. We said that during the show as well last week.
And then tonight, we've gone there and won 1-0 in an absolute bear pit. So, like, just sometimes, okay, we like, as a fan base and as a club, we've got our issues. We know we've got our issues, but sometimes just park them. Just park it and just go, okay, that's for another time. Let's get behind the boys tonight and just really see where that takes us. A little bit of belief, a little bit of hope, a little bit of dare to dream, and see where that takes us. And this is what we've got to do in the semi-final. Like, whatever's going on with Levy and Enoch and Ange and whatever you think, you just get to the point of match day or the day before and just go, park it, that's done. Okay, this is all about this 90 minutes tonight and see where that takes us. And then if it doesn't, we'll pick up whatever our angst and whatever our beefs and whatever our gripes are. But for tonight, we'll just get behind the team. And do you know what? My lad said to me about 3-4 o'clock this afternoon. He said, I'm down in the Irish bar in wherever it was in downtown Frankfurt. He said, do you know what? He said, Dad, everybody thinks we can do it tonight. Everybody, he said, is really thinking they weren't that much last week, the week before, whenever it was we played them in the first leg. Like, everybody thinks we can have them. And this is our away fans. These are the boys and girls that are going to buy tickets and travel and take time off of work and lose money lose money to actually go and follow this club. He said, there's a belief amongst us all that we can do this tonight. And guess what? We did. So just sometimes if you park up everything that you've got with Ange and everybody else and just go, let's give this a go. Let's give this a go. It gets you over the line like it did tonight. So do that again. Do that again for the semis and then hopefully for the final.
Just on that, Cracks. In fairness, I thought the atmosphere for the first leg, because it's only a week ago, the first leg. The atmosphere for the first leg is the best I've seen at that stadium for ages.
That's why I maintain the point, just like I said to you, that
absolutely
fans in the times that they have needed to get behind this club this season, despite all the shit and the crap that has happened this season, the fans have always, in my opinion, been behind the team, where at times these players have not given a reason to get behind them. And that's my frustration, back to your point earlier when you said about players hiding. Our fans don't hide. Our fans are there through thick or thin, travelling home and away, where quite arguably some of these players don't deserve that support. And that's why I go back to that point. Tonight you can be still very much maybe not for the manager, but you can still be happy that Tottenham have got through. And the most important thing is we all know, we all want what's best for the football club. And if that means Ange Postecoglou is going to win Tottenham a trophy, couldn't care less. The most important thing is Tottenham go there and win the trophy. And look, it's great to see a happy camp. That's what we all want. I would love to, listen, this is the thing I've got to very quickly just say. I would love to be sitting here doing the shows that we did, as you know, Jace, back in the Pochettino era, where we were sitting here every week being so optimistic. During that period of the Champions League run, going into games, we were sitting here thinking, how many will we win by? There was that period where we were doing so well, and you were on that roller coaster, or the crazy train, as Lee McQueen nicknamed it, where you were going into games with full confidence. We haven't been able to feel like that for a very, very long time. And I sincerely hope that we are able to, as a fan base, get that feeling back where we go into every game thinking, this is Tottenham. Because the problem this season has been for many fans, they don't recognise they're Tottenham. And that's the point I've been making really all week long. But this is not the time for that. This is the time to be happy, to be delighted by the fact Spurs have qualified in the semi-finals. We are going to go for a very, very quick break. Like I say, we've got over 15,000 of you that are watching us live. Thank you ever so much for all your incredible support for Last Word on Spurs. Unbelievable numbers as always.
15,000. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Yeah, that really is.
We know.
Well done. Well done, everyone tuning in.
Unbelievable. I mean, but I say the fans that have stuck through our shows through difficult times, we really do appreciate that support. We're going to go for a very, very quick break for 2-3 minutes. We're going to bring in the thoughts of Ange Postecoglou in that presser, and we'll be back with you after Ange has taken centre stage. We're back in a couple of minutes. Let's hear from the gaffer, Ange Postecoglou, as he does steer Spurs into a semi-final. And can I just say, he is, as alluded to on his comment here, managed to reach a semi-final of a European competition. Is in good company. Bill Nicholson, Keith Birkinshaw, Maurizio Pochettino, and Ange Postecoglou is on that list, whether you like it or you don't. Let's hear from the man. Let's bring Ange Postecoglou into focus.
Congratulations, Ange. You must be delighted with the maturity of your team tonight.
Yeah, I'm delighted with many things, and super proud of the lads. Look, you're playing away from home, quarter-final against a very good side. You're going to have to work really hard and be well organised and disciplined, and also, we needed to score tonight, so we needed to show the quality we have as well. And to a man, I just thought they were outstanding. So proud of them that in such a big game, they delivered a performance that means we're through to the semi-final. And I think over the two legs, I think we deserve to go through. Tie could well have been over in the first leg, but again, we've earned the right to be in the semi. Gary.
After a difficult season with injuries, etc., do you kind of have a sixth sense that Tottenham's name might be on this trophy?
No, I don't think that way. But from our perspective, look, we've had a difficult season. I think there's some reasoning behind that which was pretty evident tonight, that when we got our strongest team out there, a lot of the things that we've sort of suffered with this year, I'm sure we wouldn't have, because the spine of our team, at times Vicario, Romero, Van der Ven, Bentancur, Solanke, like these guys, we were missing all of them at different times this year. And when we've got the whole group, and it's not just them, it's the whole group together, we know that we can be a team that's pretty compelling against anybody. And we're in the final four now, so we give ourselves a chance. Jay.
Hi, Ange. Congratulations. I saw you walk down the tunnel at the end of the game with your arm around James Maddison. Just wanted to check in on how he's doing after what happened.
Yeah, he's fine. Unbelievable courage in that moment, to put his body on the line, knowing full well he was going to, cop a pretty severe knock. I mean, I was surprised it wasn't a red card, but super courageous from him. And look, he's sore, but I'm sure that's all been numbed, knowing that he's helped us progress to a semi.
Matt. Hello, Ange. I was going to ask you about that as well. Are you warming to VAR tonight? Are you pleased with the intervention, or are you still a bit cross that it wasn't a red card?
Oh, well, we can be a bit sort of facetious about that, Matt, but I thought it was a clear penalty. I'm not sure why it needed VAR. I mean, when a player wins the ball and it gets cleaned up, if that was a defender, it would definitely be probably a red card. Now, it's a goalkeeper, so maybe, but it's definitely a penalty. I don't think it needed a review. So, again, I think we got what we deserved.
George.
Hi, and congratulations. You've always had belief in this squad and this team, but I'm guessing you probably couldn't say really strongly, to everyone, you're going to win the Europa League before this two ties. How much confidence do you have in this squad now to go all the way and deliver what the fans have wanted for so long?
Well, look, I mean, I think, we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. We're in the semi-final, and, we're going to have a difficult opponent in the semi, but it's not about my belief in the team. I think what's more important is the belief the team's had, because after a season like ours, it would be very easy for the players and the staff to, I've said before, that they could have left me in a pretty vulnerable place in terms of, them splintering at any, but I've never felt that, with all the noise around our season. They've been so united in believing in what we're trying to achieve here, and that's what gave me heart all along, that, if we got our own little bit of slice of luck in terms of just getting some players back, that, I really believe that this team, could achieve, and that's what keeps driving me. It's not so much my belief in them; it's their belief in what we're doing, and both and the players and staff have just been outstanding. Like I said, I'm the front man for it, but they take responsibility for it as well, for all my decisions and everything I do, but not at any stage have I felt that they've lost any belief in me or what we're doing, and that's just crucial when you're having a difficult season, but there's also a season of opportunity there.
Ryan, to finish, please.
Hi, Ange. Congratulations. I just wanted to ask about your own kind of personal feelings. Obviously, it's no secret it's been a tough season, and coming into this game, it must have been quite tough having to deal with all the noise. So to win in the manner in which you did, how are you kind of feeling? Is there relief, or?
I think I said yesterday, I'm the same manager today that I was yesterday. So if people think that us winning tonight makes me a better manager, whoever didn't think I was doing a good job yesterday should be feeling the same way today. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect what I do. For me, it's always about the dressing room, Do the players believe? Do the staff believe? That's much more important than what others may, make of me. So, unfortunately for a lot of you, you're going to have to put up with me for a little bit longer, mate. So, we'll just see how that goes. All right. Thank you very much.
So there you go. Those were the thoughts of Ange Postecoglou on the back of that press conference, which is quite interesting.
Listen, Rick, you and I, we don't much like Ange, to be fair. But that mic drop at the end, you're going to have to put up with me a little bit longer, was just an absolute chef's kiss, wasn't it? Like, come on. Love or hate the man, to finish a press conference with that and just say, well, you're going to have to put up with me a little bit longer. Thank you very much. Drop the mic. See you later. Brilliant. Brilliant.
What's your
I'm
take?
actually quite warming to the man with that.
And cracks. They still can't print. He hasn't won in his second season yet.
No,
can they?
yeah,
They've been
exactly.
Oh,
waiting
yeah.
to do
Exactly.
For months and months and months and months and months.
Listen, you know what, listen. What I will say is, I mean, look, I've said this so many times on here that, you know, we have, I think collectively, after what we went through with Jose and Conte and whatever you think about those two respective managers, I think Tottenham fans in general, really, everyone wanted this to work. And look, strange things happen in football. It may still work, but I think the problem for a lot of fans out there is because of the season that we've had and the nature of it, naturally, doubts will creep in. I mean, Jason, I know your feeling is more towards the players than the manager. I know me and you, Cracks, have been very much maybe of the feeling that tactically he's been found wanting on a degree of a number of occasions, which have given us a number of red flags that it makes it hard to find that confidence.
Let me just jump in here. If he turns this round, wins that final and the club back him again and he starts pulling some trees up, I'll gladly come on here and apologise to him.
I would love to be wrong.
And
this is not.
So would you.
This is no agenda. This is not an agenda. This is no agenda.
Yeah.
I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
Yeah.
I would love to think it is just the injuries that have really destabilised this season. But I think the problem for a lot of fans out there, and again, I want this show to be a positive show. This is not a show to look for negatives. But I think, again, I have to speak for a lot of the fans out there maybe don't feel the confidence of maybe Jason's felt it's about the players more than the manager. I think the problem for a lot of fans out there is because when you have had the majority of those players fit and you have lost at home to the likes of Ipswich, you've lost away to Palace, it is very, very difficult for fans to just get away from those issues and have us so focused about it's just because it's the players. And I think, again, we know football, we've been around football for a very, very long time. Cracks, I don't want to sit here and blow smoke up your arse. You talk to many people in around the footballing world, some very, very articulate, intelligent people that you deal with day to day when you do your Legends events. I think, again, I don't mean disrespectfully, these people that have been in football, they can't be wrong in what they're saying. And again, as a fan that supported this club for don't age myself too much now, 30 years, you see all kinds of different managers at football clubs that give you different feelings, different perceptions about what looks right, what doesn't look right, what the feeling is. But at the same time, I will make this very, very clear. I've always tried in my role as a host to be as balanced as I can, to try and call things as I see them, and never, ever at any point try and shout down or in any way diminish views of other people. Jason, who I've known Jason for near on 10 years, 12 years. Jason has got a feeling for him. This is more about the players than the manager. And am I wrong in that, Jason? Do you want to come in on that point to disagree with me or agree with me on this point?
Yeah, like I say, I totally understand all the getting at him. He's got many faults. I don't like his touchline mannerisms and things like that. My whole point, Rick, in it has been that everyone just says he's tactically out of his depth, but they want Iraola to take over, who plays exactly the same tactics as him. So that's the first point. And the second thing is, we've just dismissed from our football club 2 absolute tactical master managers, 2 of the sharpest brains tactically in football. And where do we get to as European semi-final? Under the tactics.
But can I just say one thing? Would you agree, though, on those 2 managers?
Players have to follow the tactical plan. They have to have the discipline to follow the tactical plan. And we don't have players that follow tactical plans. And that's why any tactics, low block tactics of Mourinho, mid-block tactics of Conte, counter-attack tactics of Nuno, high-press tactics of him. What tactics do we want What's the tactics that these players are suddenly going to follow and be disciplined to adhere to week in, week out that they haven't been able to follow for 6 frigging years?
But we have to also say that in those 6 years, the players have also changed. It's not been the same players.
Absolutely they have. Absolutely they have. Some of them have, some of them haven't. But when we've had highly tactical managers, it's got us where?
But also
Nowhere.
on those highly
Nowhere.
tactical managers, I have to just say on that point.
Managers,
But on those highly tactical managers, have they? And this again applies to Ange Postecoglou as well. When I bring him into this category as well, have those highly tactical, engaged managers, and as well in this phrase, have they actually properly been backed with the players that they've wanted? I don't think they have.
No,
I don't think they have.
possibly
And
not.
this is why again I've shown a lot of sympathy to Ange Postecoglou since taking the job, because the same one with Conte, with Mourinho, you can go to Nuno, to Pochettino. None of these managers have ever been given the tools properly in order to be able to do the job. And that is why whoever you bring in here is going to have the same issues. And that's why, again, I know so many people are sick of having another rinse and repeat 18-month cycle. And that's why, again, so many people still want this to work. But I think, again, it comes back to that point, which I don't want it to be about this show, about the manager. We've just reached the semi-final. I want it to be a positive show. But I do have to reflect both sides of the coin here. There are some that vehemently believe that maybe Ange is the right man for the job. There are some that have maybe seen over the course of the last 18 months, they've not seen enough in terms of adaptation, improvement in players. You can be in both camps. You can also feel he's not been given enough time to be able to see enough.
Rick, this is the overarching thing that we've always said, and I've always said to you that whoever the manager is, and yeah, Nick's right. Like, we're having a good debate here tonight. This is a good show because we're all throwing in our 2 penneth worth, and so are people in the comments. So well done. Whoever the manager is, whatever the tactic is, whoever the players are, this club and the ownership is always bringing a manager in, and they're strapping one leg up round their waist and then saying to them, come on, we want you to get involved in an arse-kicking competition.
Yep.
We keep always this club.
And that's why the sympathy has been
is
there,
asking one-legged men to get involved in arse-kicking competitions. And that is the overriding and the biggest problem of this club. Enoch, Daniel Levy, Donna Cullen, and everybody else in this boardroom brings people in and then straps one leg up behind them and says, go out there and kick some ass. And that is the problem. This isn't Ange Postecoglou per se. This isn't Maurizio Pochettino. This isn't Glenn Hoddle. This isn't Harry Redknapp. This isn't everybody else who's ever been a manager under them. It's them. It is them. It's always been them. It will always be them until such things change. And that's where we are with it. They are cowards. Thank you, Shane, as he's just said in the comments. They are cowards. They've got no football ambition for this club. So even if we get rid of Ange, if he goes, the next person coming in, the next man that comes in,
face the same issues that they
face
the
the same issues time and time again.
Yep.
So look, it's another rallying call for when change for Tottenham. Get out on the streets and start some protests for some change. That's ultimately what we need. So, whatever we think of Ange or any other manager, as soon as they come in, they're up against it. You've got those restraints that Enoch put on you because they're just not brave enough to go with it. So, listen, that's the ultimate problem, Rick. Yeah. It always has been and it always will be until they go.
Yeah, look, I want to turn this focus back on the fact we have got through to the semi-final. Before I do, Dal, just let you come in on that point there, because I don't think I've ever seen Dal so quiet for 5 minutes on the show, so I need to get Dal's point on it. Now, I
I
mean,
was enjoying the popcorn. I was living my dream. Everyone was so good. Happy days.
now, I mean, look, I think you've kind of got one.
There's the popcorn pre-match when Ricky was stripped off to his waist wasn't too impressive, was it?
Well, on the point back to the manager, Dow. I mean, have you got a foot in kind of both camps at the moment with regards to how fans are feeling out there? There's fans that obviously feel the way they feel, but this is now a time, I think, as Crackers and Jason alluded to now, is the time to get behind the manager for what's going to be a crucial semi-final double leg. And I know, again, I will say this, the fans will get behind the team, get behind the manager for those two legs that, please God, see us through to a final. That's all we want.
The thing is, this conversation started because I lit the blue touch paper when I said exactly that we should just all get behind him. That's what made me laugh. That's all I said. Let's park it. Instead of parking it, we emptied the bus. We got everyone off. We did a refurbished job, and now we're back on the bus. And that is the beauty of Spurs. We go through all of these high emotions, the roller coasters, the crazy trains, whatever you call it. But this is what it does to us because we love it. We love this team and we want to succeed. And right now, we're all saying in different ways the exact same thing. Right now, all we care about is our team being successful. And that should be where our focus is. We know the problems above. We know the problems in the dugout. We know the problems on the pitch because we are committed to this badge. This badge means everything to us. So right now, we have one moment, one opportunity to actually get a bit of pride and a bit of joy back this season. We've got one opportunity. So why not grab it with every part of us, every bit of our soul, and stay united on that?
Absolutely. Look, we're going to quickly just brush over some of the keys from the game, and then we are going to look, like I say, to get you amazing people away. I got to say, look, again, I'll make that point. There's over 15,000 of you that are watching the show live.
Rick, let's not forget we've won a huge game tonight, so let's focus on that. Focus on that. That's a huge win tonight. We've not had many this season, so let's major on that. Let's get us back now. Take us to the bridge. Come on, take us to the bridge. Yeah, do you know what, Hartman? Ange Postecoglou, he's like James Brown, isn't he? Do you remember when James Brown had given everything at the end of a show? And
get that cape on.
His entourage would put the cape on him and they'd help him off stage. And all of a sudden, he'd throw the cape off and he'd give you another 2 songs, wouldn't he?
I'm ready for it.
Ange Postecoglou is like James Brown, isn't he?
Listen,
I feel good.
Listen, we're 2 songs away from a final, potentially. Can I just say, look, over 15,000 of you that are watching the show live, please hit the like button. Please keep subscribing. It helps the growth of the show and it helps people find this on a worldwide level for the Spurs audience out there. So please keep hitting the like button. Keep subscribing to the show. That's greatly appreciated. A reminder for you out there, if you don't know already, I'm sure you do by now, that we're delighted to be sponsored by NordVPN. Listen, you're going to need this now for, of course, another upcoming European away day and journey. Please, God, we've got 2 more European away days to come your way. Of course, Nord, they help you encrypt your security for your phone, for your devices, whether it's iPad, iPhone, you know it. They help you with that. Of course, you can up to get 10 devices covered with regards to Nord on one plan. NordVPN.com/LWOS. And we're going to steer you back into what the lineup was ahead of the game, of course, where Spurs, they had a team without captain Heung-Min Son, which going into it, of course, for many was going to define the season and Postecoglou's future. And it's all gone to plan in terms of the game itself. Son did not make the trip from North London. He has a foot injury. Again, there was a lot of talk and debate beforehand whether Son should have travelled, given he's the captain of the football club, given the importance of the game. I think what you have to also put in there, again, we're not doctors, not surgeons. I'm certainly not an advice expert, but there is that suggestion that if a player is carrying that nature of an injury, a foot injury, it could well swell if they are put on a flight there and back. So maybe that is a reason why Son didn't travel, of course, and wasn't asked about that in his post-match press conference. So, look, we can forget about that now. It's not a big subject. In terms of what it meant for the lineup, we saw Mathys Tel on the left-hand side replacing Sonny. The Frenchman unbeaten, of course, going into this tie against Frankfurt for Spurs and Bayern, and remained so. Brennan Johnson on the right of Dominic Solanke. The fullbacks, Ange named Destiny Udogie, Pedro Porro in the team with Jed Spence amongst the substitutes. Kevin Danso returned to training after more than a month out of a hamstring injury. He was back on the bench. That Tottenham team read Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie, Bergvall, Bentancur, Madison, Johnson, Solanke. Tell with a bench of Austin, Whiteman, Spence, Davis, Danso, Gray, Sarr, Basuma, Kulusevski, Moore, Odebear, Richarlison. In terms of the way the game started, look, we'll fast forward to a moment where there was very much ample concern in the, I would say, very much the Spurs fan base at one point, where one ball over the top did unfortunately set Frankfurt away at 0-0. This came in the 15th minute, where, again, this has been a concern for a lot of fans out there, how one ball does cut us open. But the ever-athletic, pacey Mickey van der Ven rolled back, maybe you'd say the Ledley King years, with a fine sliding tackle, which saved Spurs in that moment. I mean, some felt it was going to be Tottenham's night. And again, on the basis that, obviously, for a blow for Frankfurt, they lost Götze early on, who looked to have pulled a hamstring. He was replaced by Fabrice Chabi at that point. I just wonder if certain moments define games, Jace. How big a moment was that where Mickey van der Ven makes such an amazing tackle, really catches the player up, who was probably odds on to score, but Mickey gets there first and shows really why he's so fundamental to the way this team does operate.
Magnificent tackle, wasn't it? Magnificent challenge. It just shows you just how much we've missed him through the season. The fact that the commentator alluded to the fact that we had our first choice back four for what, only the second time since December the 8th. And you have to put some of that context into the way the season's been. But, brilliant challenge. And it also explains why Mickey has to understand himself, why he's maybe not playing Premier League games to risk another problem coming his way when there's just far more important games ahead of him. But, his performance overall, his use of the ball and things like that today, superb. And it's just highlights why he's so massively, massively key for this team.
It does indeed. And I think, Dale, just coming over to you on that moment in the game, where certain things maybe go your way. I wouldn't wish injury on anyone. The fact they lose Götze, the fact Van der Ven has that sliding tackle. Was there a feeling by the way we started that maybe, just maybe, this could be Tottenham's night? Or was you always thinking there's a long, long way to go at that point?
No, I was confident in the way they were setting out to do business. There was a plan and it was being executed. And I could see the confidence growing in the players. And you saw that. And what you saw was, defensively, it was a unit. And as Jason quite rightly said, that unit hasn't played many games together this season. And when it's together, they look good. People complement each other. I know people have spoken about Udogie being off. Van der Ven next to him makes him a completely different player, because when he presses, he knows he has support. He knows he's got someone with that pace beside him. And football is confidence. And when you're playing at the level that these guys are playing at, small margins of error are massive. But when your confidence is high, you're one, going to express yourself more. But two, if you're going to express yourself like Udogie can do, and you look behind you and you go, Mickey's got me covered, you smile, you feel confident. It grows into your game. Today, he also had Tell next to him. And let's talk about Tell tonight. He put in a great shift on that side. I know a lot of people without Son, what was that going to look like? We have a different player. And I think it's going to be, that's why I talk about the league games now going forward. You play with that side. Yes, Son is a hero for us, but he can't play every game a season. People are talking about signing Tell. You also got to look at, is that Mikey Moore's spot? We've got the other Korean kid. Does he come back and have a go there? You got Udogie. Do you put him on that side? There's so many options for the future that we can start looking at in games that are not meaningless, but could be used for other parts of the experiment of Tottenham right now. Yeah. And Mickey has to be aware, as I think his statement was a little bit crazy, to say like, oh, I don't know why I'm not playing. But you know what I love about tonight? And this is something I want to just highlight for Spurs fans. The narrative was pre-written before the game of what the negatives were going to be. Why didn't Son travel? Bad. He should have been there. Bad guy. Well, we're out. And
I even saw you got it when you said I'm here for the therapy. But you're right. I mean,
and that's the thing. I was like, what will tonight bring? I'm here for the therapy, because everyone had that same idea. And I'm just like, you know what? It's beautiful when we can have a night like this and smile it out.
Of course, man. Of course.
And that's the joy of nights like this. And we haven't had as many as we should have had this year. So let's say there were so many positives in terms of confidence and how patterns of play worked, banking up together, supporting each other. I thought Bentancur showed the player who got offered the contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why they want to extend his contract. Because when he plays like that, he's amazing. He reads football like an absolute demon. He's 5, 6, 7 steps ahead of the play. And that's what you want from a man. You look at him and go, him playing it to Bertveld, you go, that's what you're learning. That's the guy giving you the experience to go, you play your football, young man. I've got you covered. Go and express yourself. I've got you. That's when it looks good.
I tell you the other thing about Bergveld tonight, which the one slight the criticism I've had of him this season, he's been excellent. He's shown real character, real determination. He's shown plenty of quality. The one thing Bergveld's worried me for this year is diving into tackles unnecessarily when he goes to ground. And tonight he didn't do that. He didn't go diving in. Bentancur actually did at one moment, and Romero did. But actually, Bergveld stayed on his feet tonight. When he realised he couldn't get the ball, he didn't dive in. And that's the one thing he needs to learn. And it's brilliant for him.
He was. I mean, again, just on Mickey for a second, Cracks, because I think Mickey van der Ven as a player maybe hasn't had maybe enough praise this season. Because again, in the nature of that fact, it's been stop-start with injury. I mean, that was almost Iron Robin, Ledley King-S, wasn't it, that tackle? You know, to race back, make up the ground the way he did in such a big game. Phenomenal moment, right? And I think for many fans, that would be a moment where when we look back and if we do win the competition, you'll look back and say, that was a moment there that helped us most certainly get that and achieve that goal of winning that trophy.
It's moments, Rick.
It is moments. It's so important.
Little moments.
Yep.
But you pick little moments like that, and all of a sudden, out in the terraces, you go, hang on. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. And that builds up confidence in the stands, and it builds up confidence in the team. And you just pick up on those. It's a little bit like Man United this evening when Harry Maguire, how much like hate and just general negativity as somebody like Harry Maguire had in his football career. I mean, it would break normal people, but there he was tonight, and he's got them back into that tonight, and turn things round. So this is the thing with football and footballers. You know, they can take a year, 18 months worth of shit and this and that being piled onto them.
But one moment
in the press, in social media, in this and that and that. And then all of a sudden that one moment comes and then they just do something, and all of a sudden it's like, wow. Even that mob down the road last night, Saka missed that penalty and then all of a sudden does what he does, you know, and gets him the goal.
Yeah.
And, you know, Rio Ferdinand was right. It's, you know, these moments, people hammer you for them, but you've just got to get over the hump of that.
Yep.
And then when the next moment comes, you go from zero to hero. And this is football. This is what happens. This is what Mickey's done tonight. You know, he's a great player, Rick. He is he's an absolute Rolls Royce of a player.
Yep.
And tonight he's done that, like King did versus Arjen Robben versus like Chelsea.
Yeah.
These are the moments that you remember. So, you know, you get a few moments where it doesn't go quite right, and then all of a sudden you just do something, or you make a tackle, or you score a goal out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you've gone from the gutter to the stars.
I mean, it's only in football you can have.
It's nuts.
It's only in football that you feel you could have that kind of level of difference, right? You go from one moment
it's
to that.
crazy. Solanke's not scored a goal since January. That penalty he took tonight.
The conviction of the penalty. And bearing in mind, there was I mean, we'll come on to that now. Let's come on to that now because there was a few chances before that. Tell did cut inside. There were big whistles as Porro had paper thrown at him. I mean, it's again quite an intimidating atmosphere to be playing in. Before we come to that very quickly, the penalty incident itself. I mean, I don't think we've got any disagreement on whether it was a penalty or not. The nature of how it came about was, I think quite convincing in itself. Maddison got the flick. Kouad didn't get any of the ball. They were getting treatment. And at that moment, you felt it's got to be a shout for a penalty. He was completely wiped out. But, I mean, what was funny is on the pitch, for those that are watching the game live, was the referee was trying to insinuate in the build-up that it was just a coming together. And he wasn't really having any of it. And then you had this kind of 3-4 minute wait for a decision to be made where the referee would go to the monitor and check it out. But evidently, really, the way the goalkeeper approached Maddison and quite simply wiped him out, if that was going to happen anywhere else on the pitch, it would have been a foul. So look, I don't think there's a debate about whether it was a penalty. I think it comes back to that point again, is just the timing of how long it took to get to the decision, which again, I know for many fans out there with VAR, that seems to again still be a massive, massive problem in the game. But let's talk about the way he took it. And what I did like beforehand, actually, and I don't know how many other teams do this, because to be honest with you, this season, given the nature of Tottenham and football, I've got to say I haven't really been tuning into other teams, but Tottenham have been quite smart at the penalties where the non-taker always picks up the ball and lets the opposition defenders talk shit to him, and then actually gives it to the actual taker to put it away. And it actually happened a few weeks ago with Sonny, where it was clearly, I think, pre-planned. And this time, Solanke, the finish from the penalty spot was a man that didn't look like he hadn't scored for, 11 games, the first in 12 going into it. He actually waited for Kouad to dive, sent the keeper the wrong way. First goal since January the 4th. Big, big celebrations in front of the Frankfurt fans. And I think you've got to say at that point, really, Spurs deserve that at the point in the game. We're going into half-time with a really important lead, and the tactics really had been working. I mean, Jace, that point on Solanke, because again, we touched on it earlier, been getting a bit of grief recently for his lack of goals, and there's been questions to Ange in the press about Solanke's lack of goals. Just how well did he take that penalty for you?
Took it brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly. Totally calm, totally composed. Just never looked in doubt for me. But like I said, I think it's a big one because I'm not sure he was probably the penalty taker that's prearranged before the game. I think Madders is probably was going to take him instead of Sonny, and that's why Ange is screaming to get Dom on the ball, because I don't think they'd allowed for that. For Madders to go off and then get the penalty, if you see what I mean. So the fact it would have been a late decision just took it brilliantly for us.
It did indeed. And just to come over to you, Dal, if I can, just on Solanke in general, I think there's been one thing you can't question about Solanke, and that's his work rate for Tottenham, in a Spurs shirt. He's been such a hard-winning worker when really I think the service given to him has been so really minimal for what he's having to work with. He's having to really feed off scraps. I don't think I've ever seen someone work so hard for the very little they've been given as a player. I mean, how pleased are you for him personally? He's had that moment in such a big game for the football club and led them into a semi-final of a European competition.
I'm very happy for him. And you know what? I have a slightly different take on the penalty. I don't think the penalty, the ball was being held by the person who wasn't taking a penalty. I think Tell wanted it. Okay, and I think that was also something that I spotted in character today. When Maddison weren't on the pitch, because remember, Tell scored one recently. So I think he grabbed the ball going, I'm going to take it. And he was just holding like, I'm going to step up. And Ange was like, I want Dom to take it. And I think that was the bit, because obviously Maddison was off the pitch, that they had to change that. But it was so respectfully done. I think it was a beautiful little moment between them where it was like, yep, respect, done. There was no argument. Just like Brennan, when he was on a hat-trick, he didn't argue when Tell wanted to take it. And I think it shows the respect between the players where they go, we can handle this. Listen, whilst I agree with you, it's quite nice, but should there be, in Roy Keane's terms, a bit more fucking fight to want to take the penalty? Just do you agree in that moment? I think, because I think that's another thing that's been labelled at this team being too nice. Do you know what I mean? But I think if you look at a man, like when Dom came for the ball, if you know Dom's going to take it. I'm a little bit different to Keane. I don't see my players fighting on the pitch. I don't want to squabble for it. I want them to manage it properly. You can do that in the dressing room and have that argument. But what I saw from Tell was a young boy going, I'm willing to step up. And that is, I think that's better than a squabble. It's going, I want to be the man. I will take the pressure. Dom's going, I'm going to take that pressure. Great. That's what you want to see, the characters of these players. And what a brilliant penalty. And as you quite rightly said, Dom's fed off scraps, literally less than scraps this latter part of the season. And the work he puts in, sometimes I think he presses too hard and not everyone goes with him and he needs to just go, let me not do that extra run. But I think as we progress and as the team, as Anne quite rightly pointed out, which was something that I forgot about, they've not all been able to train together. There've been so many players off. Now you're starting to understand each other again and go, sorry, bruv, I forgot how you run. Sorry, I forgot how you want the ball. I'm used to no one being there. Now we've got
who are you again?
Yeah, exactly that. And now it's starting to build that. And you can see that they're working that understanding. So I think Solanke is a player that I feel doesn't get the respect because, as they say, strikers' currency is goals. But what he's brought to Tottenham is so much more than goals. And I think as the team grows and the confidence grows, we'll see Dom getting more goals, but also him being supported far more in the game.
Totally agree. Look, we're going to move on. So Spurs go in at half-time, 1-0 up, thanks to that Solanke 43rd minute penalty. And second half really is a really professional, mature display from Spurs where, I mean, again, you could see as the game was going on, Frankfurt were getting more agitated, more frustrated. I think there was a big shout for them for a penalty where Etakite went down, but Romero got the ball, not the man. Spurs, meanwhile, did force a corner. And I've got to say, I think Romero, to be fair to him, has taken quite a lot of criticism recently for the individual errors that he's made. And Cracks, look, I think there's no getting away from it. And this is not a night to discuss it. We're not going to discuss it in general. There's been that suggestion that Romero's head has been elsewhere during the season. How nice is it, for the fact that tonight, sole focus was on Tottenham and he performed and played ever so well and put in a really dominant display, Cracks, alongside Mickey van der Ven.
He was magnificent tonight. He really was. He was a warrior. He was a battler. He wasted some time towards the end as well with a bit of Vaseline on the back of the head.
I'm not sure we like what happened in the final minute of the game, but I mean, listen, thankfully we haven't got to worry about it.
Yeah, but he is who he is. Romero. That he's Argentinian. It's as simple as that. And he gave us everything tonight. And what a defender he is, by the way. What a defender he really is. We'll probably lose him at the end of the season to Atleti or Real, whoever comes in for him. But while we've got him, if he gets us over the line for this trophy, then happy days. And then off he goes on his adventures for wherever he wants to go. Because, as I've said to you before, Rick, if you're a footballer and Real come in for you, or Atleti come in for you, it's very, very difficult to turn that down. It's a short career. It really is. And I love Spurs. You love Spurs. We all love Spurs watching this. But players think about things very, very differently. And if you can go and play for one of these teams, it's hard to reject the allure of it. And especially if you're a South American player, Atleti or Real or Barcelona, it's something to have on your CV if you're a South American or a Spanish orientated player. So, but look, tonight he was unbelievable. If he can take that into the semi-final and we overcome that and then take that into the final, we've got a chance in this. So I'd love him to stay. I really, really would love him to stay and commit to Tottenham because he's a fine defender. He's a fine player. He comes with his issues, but you can manage those and you can deal with those because he offers you so much more in positives of what he can do negatives in what he can't do as such, no, he was fantastic tonight. But like I said, he comes with his management challenges.
Comes with his baggage. Yeah, he's got baggage.
He does. He does. They all do. All South American players do. They really do. But if you can manage those and channel their frustrations and their little sort of four boys, if you like, of who they are and what they are. If you can take those and you can channel them into your team and channel them into those 90 minutes, you get a player. That's the challenges and difficulties that come with them. But tonight, magnificent, absolutely magnificent. If can we see that in the Premier League as well? That's the thing. That's the thing. If you can gauge his interest in that and get him to knuckle down, I'd love to keep him. I really would. But I totally also get the allure of going somewhere that interests him, and that's Spain. And that's Spain, and that's Atleti, or that's Real, or that's Barcelona. That's just the nature of who these players are, what they are, and what they see as pinnacles in their careers.
Yeah, agree. Another player that, again, when you look at a reaction from the weekend, Jace, was Vicario. Big save towards the end of the game. How important was that on a night where, look, you've called for it yourself, these players to step up and show some leadership? I think Romero led as a leader in that second half. Vicario made a very big save towards the end of the game. There were players that, again, were fighting for the shirt, and that's one thing that really, I think, my frustration as a fan is that doesn't seem to be given anymore in this day and age. When I was maybe growing up, or maybe, again, not to age you too much, in your day as well, with Cracks as well, can I put the heart man in there? Dare I put the heart man in there? But I mean, it just felt like back in. It just felt like, really, football at a time where players would automatically give everything now seems to be, optional these days. How important is that the leadership group, you say, for want of a better word, were performing in this game and showed why they were chosen by Ange Postecoglou in those roles? And look, don't get me wrong, Maddison had to come off as well. I think Maddison has been questioned about showing some bollocks this season. The bollocks he showed Maddison to take that challenge on to the match-winning penalty. If Maddison put his head there, we don't get the penalty. Could have been a different game. So, I pick out those players there, Maddison, Vicario, Romero, showing really what they're about on the pitch in this game itself.
Showed everything they didn't show 4 days before it, isn't it?
That was going to lead me on to the fact of how frustrating is that for you, from Wolves to that game. Yeah.
They're the leadership group, and they look like they wanted to really win the game tonight. And at the weekend, they looked like they didn't have a care between them. I think Vicario's shown it plenty of times this season. Without a doubt, he wants it. But sometimes you have to just keep a little bit, sometimes leadership isn't just about shouting and hollering and pointing and fist pumping. It's a little bit of composure when it's needed. And Vicario was so much better tonight. His handling was exceptional. His decision making of when to come, when to punch, when to catch, things like that was exceptional. And when the moment came for him to make the big save, he made the big save. And that's what you want from your goalkeeper. No silly moments where he passes the ball straight to an opposition striker on the edge of our own box and things like that. And when he does that, he's a fantastic goalkeeper to have.
Yeah, I do agree. I will just give a quick mention to the midfield. Look, Bentancur as well. I think Dale touched upon there. That maybe is why, again, there might be an incoming contract with Bentancur. He was superb for Tottenham during the game. Calm, composed with the ball, industrious in that midfield display. Again, as mentioned, James Maddison put his body on the line, and Lucas Bergvall, as we touched upon earlier in the show, you only have to remember he's only 19 years old. So what a bright future he has in store. Good news, the fact we saw Kevin Dent.
Just to say, Rich Shears in the comments says we've just got to focus on Lazio. I don't think he's seen the final score. It's not Lazio, it's Bodo Glimt we've got.
Yeah, just a good bit. Well, it's funny because Dale was telling us in the back end, boys, definitely Lazio, Bodo Glimt. We went to penalties, Dale, so we understand why there was an element of confusion.
What a night of football.
Green Room was a lot of fun. Green Room was a lot of fun, that's for sure. Look, I say we ended that game. Don't want to go back there again. We ended that game, like I say, Spurs winners through. And I think, you know what? It's interesting just to close on this point now with regards to Forest on Monday. Jason, again for you, you've got a very, very early morning flight on the Tuesday. And you're like me. I mean, me and Jason are both out the country for the first leg. And Crackers might have forgot. I did ask him to host the show when I'm away on the first leg. I'm not sure if Crackers is going to probably now come back to Tottenham. We might want to go get a ticket for Tottenham for the semi-final. I wouldn't blame him if he does for the first leg.
I might be hosting that from the high road, Rick.
Let's all do it. I've joined you. Let's do it.
All I will say is I'm away, Jason's away. Wherever that show does end up on that first leg might be a lot of fun. So that'll be in due course for sure. And we'll let you know those arrangements do work. But I think just to close on this point now, what we want to see between now and that first leg, of course, of the Bodo Glimt game. I mean, Jace, what do you want to see? Do you want to see an experimental lineup used against what will be Forest and against Liverpool coming up? I think those are the games that we've got beforehand for these. What do you want to see?
I think Forest is slightly different because it's Monday night, isn't it? So it's
Monday night.
It's not. So we've got an extra 24 hours. I think it's a home game. I would like to see us pick almost a team tonight against Forest, but then the Liverpool game that's in the build up to the semi-final or between it or whatever, that's an entirely different thing completely. So go for the Forest game, try and get the win, it's live on the box, try and give our home supporters something to go on, and then we can go to Liverpool and it's a free hit, because at the end of the day it's probably a case if we lose to Liverpool, then for the second year running we've stuffed Arsenal's title up, isn't it? So it finally takes that out of the equation. Let's be honest.
Well, Ange won't like you hearing that. He won't like you saying that. Ange.
I mean, let's be honest as well. Look at our record at Anfield over 110 years or whatever. We've won 4 times.
You are going against everything that Ange Postecoglou would want by you saying that. You are aware of that.
But I just mean I think even Ange will look at it and think it's pointless trying to risk players getting injured in a game like that isn't going to define our season when you've got that semi-final. But I think Forest is slightly different. I want Romero, I want Van der Ven, I want, maybe you make a couple of changes, but I don't want to see us changing everything for that game. Changing everything. I don't want to see let Solanke, let Kulu start instead of Madison because the head injury tonight or something, but not go and make 9 or 10 changes for that game. But for the Liverpool game, I don't care if we make 10 changes.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. I think that's fair. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Dal, you'll back me for the Forest game on Monday night. I mean, Nuno's back into town. His family, I'm sure, will be there around the stadium. What does Monday look like in your mind, Dal, in comparison to what maybe it would have looked like 24 hours ago?
Well, Monday now for me is a game where I just want us to focus on remembering what tonight was about.
Monday night is now for Dale a game which he really wishes he told me, Rick, I'm at the Hippodrome.
No, the thing is, I love what our fan base will do.
It's hard, isn't it? Because Monday night, I know there'll be fans that if we don't get the right result, that will probably go apeshit. I know Jason's looking at me. Look, I think the thing is on Monday night, what can you expect? We're now at a point of a semi-final where if he puts the first 11 out there and someone gets injured, he'll get bollocks for it.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
You can't win, can you? I mean, could you blame him if he wanted to rest the whole entire 11?
If it was me, I would rest the whole 11. But the thing is, I'll come out and be open about it
and say it.
I think Amrin's done something similar.
But does that actually? I mean, again, I don't want to go too deep into this discussion point. Does that also kind of, in a way, I don't know, kind of put the integrity of the league at risk by saying that?
I think it depends if you use the word if you're playing a weaker side. I think if you go, for this game, we're going to utilize our squad. If you say it in a way that is football terminology, and also you start playing people like Archie Gray in his position, mix and match this side. But remember, we've still got quality players there. You put Denzel and Ben Davis at centre half. You put Jed Spence at right back. You maybe bring back Reguilon and play him left back. You suddenly go, it's not a bad side you're putting out there. It's just
Forest
about
also
the level of
a good
performance.
side.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, if the players turn up and go, "Oh, we're the second side, we're not happy," you should also be, if you're that player, going, "I want to play myself into the 11 to start in that semi-final. I want to be playing in the final." So it's all about a mentality, and that's the thing for me, is what you do up here. If you got the attitude of it's the second string, we're not going to do anything, we won't. The fan base will be annoyed. It's a shambles. But if everyone's on the same attitude of going, it's an opportunity to get yourself a game, opportunity to showcase yourself, and this 11 isn't set in stone. Someone could get a knock in training. You could step in.
Yeah,
it could be a different game. Everyone's attitude could be shifted on it, and we could go to the game on Monday and give Nottingham Forest an absolute run for their money.
Yeah, you know what's interesting, Cracks? I'm not sure if we've I can't remember some of the situations we've been in like this where, I mean, again, to call games meaningless is not fair on fans that have spent a huge amount of money that I know kind of come from abroad to come and see these games. I don't think it's fair to use that term meaningless, but maybe to put Dale's time out there, what he said could be more experimental. That will be maybe an interesting time about how he deals with that. Because again, I'll make that point. If somebody gets injured, that's a real key pivotal part of the team. Ange's going to get bollocked. And again, I'll think the frustration about the Wolves game, Jace, I know maybe you felt this frustration as well, is that was a game where surely Ange would have said to the players, show me why you should be in my starting 11 for the Frankfurt game. And we didn't take it, Cracks. And I think it's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, how do you get that balance right between playing a team that probably know they're not first choice, and maybe, again, certain players that know even if they play to their absolute maximum, maybe wouldn't break through into that first 11 for the respective ties against Bodo Glimt? How would he play that for you?
Well, there's an argument, Rick, that you should always play your best team for the next game. And winning games breeds winning. So, yeah, there's a tough balance to be had here. So, I don't know, Rick. Like, I'm really split into thinking maybe I should be in goal and you should be left back and Hartman should be in midfield and Jason up front for that game and just rest everybody. But then also just go out there and go, okay, look, take this tonight forward into the game on Monday and go out and try and win the game, because winning games breeds a winning mentality. So it's a tough one, Rick. I really don't know. This is what Ange gets paid the big bucks for, to decide what he's going to do and the way he's going to approach it. And you're right, people are going there Monday night and they've paid their hard-earned money.
It's not a cheap game either.
No, exactly. They want to see Tottenham just have a good go and put a good team out there and try and win the game. So if you get a win from that game, that breeds some confidence, doesn't it? The Liverpool game, forget it. just put Mr. Blobby out there. Just hand them the title, upsend that lot down the road, and then we'll just put up with them on social media bleating about it. Oh, you handed them the title. Never mind the 20-odd, 30-odd, 40-odd games that went before it. No, we handed them the title. But I don't know how to feel about it, Rick. But all I know is, Jace, you'll probably back me on this. We're probably the only two in this forum, apart from some of those in the comments as well, that saw us win the UEFA Cup in 1984. And it's a special feeling. It really is, Rick. Of course, the FA Cup, of course, the League Cup. But if you can put yourself up against some of those of the best in Europe and you can lift that European Cup, wow, It is a absolutely wow feeling. And I'll let you into a little secret, boys and girls. In about 10, 12 days' time, Keith Birkinshaw's coming out to Lanzarote for the day when he's on a cruise with his wife. So me and my wife Sue and my son Tom, us three, and Keith and Jackie are going out for a bit of lunch on the 28th in Lanzarote. The last man to manage us in the European Cup final and to win a cup final. And I feel very, very privileged to be bringing him out for a little bit of lunch, and we'll have a little chat and we'll have a little catch up because he's a lovely, lovely man. He's 90 this year, by the way, Keith. He is a super, super lovely man, as is Jackie, his wife. So on the 28th, we're going out for a little bit of lunch. And I don't want him to be the last man to win the European Cup. If Ange goes and wins one, I'll be happy. I'll be absolutely happy. And so would Keith. Keith would be as well, because Keith loves this club, by the way. And he'd love to see somebody take this club forward and be known as the man that went on to win a European Cup.
Well, I think that's the perfect way to close it. I'm not sure I should say this because I want to put the knockers on it, but should Spurs get to that point of reaching the final, I know we're going to have something amazingly well planned out there for the show, which I know would be incredible. But look, we'll have those discussions behind the scenes. And look, please God, we'll get there and then we can share that. Because I think for us as a cast that we've got on Last Word on Spurs, you know, it's quite, whenever we get together, I'm sure...
Rick, imagine going to Bilbao with somebody who can speak Spanish.
Well, I mean,
imagine that.
Point, you know what? I mean, I will just say, can I just say to close it on this point, which is really important that we say this, and Cracks and Jason will tone to this as well, and Dal will. Look, whenever we get together, the synergy between all of us in that room is a very, very special feeling that, personally, I've said this before, I can't kind of ever quantify when we're all together as a group. It's an amazing, amazing feeling. So all I know is if that feeling is there and we're in a final and we're all together, it will be unbelievable. And I know for viewers and listeners out there that would love to make that travel and journey would be amazing. So look, we're hoping we've got a very, very special end of season to come where we're going to hopefully lift the trophy. And look, no matter your feelings on the manager, the players, the board, I think we can all safely say for one night, if we get there, that all goes out the window and it's totally, totally about Tottenham. I want to say a massive thank you to Jason McGovern. Jace, thank you. Jason, maybe this is maybe a good omen. Jace is going off now for a bit because Jason is going to be away. He will miss the first leg with us. He'll be back for the second leg where, please God, Jace, don't book any more flights because you might, for the final, now leave it open a little bit. Leave it open now. Be careful what you're booking.
I can't believe it. I've only been back 2.5 weeks and I'm off again. It's just like, got back here, watch that game against Southampton. You've depressed me by being on TalkSport and every other media outfit, moaning and groaning all week. I thought, Jesus, get me out of here. Book me a flight.
Listen, I always try and say how I feel. And I think, you know, again, from the feedback I've had from a lot of Spurs fans, they feel the same. And, you know, again, I think you understand, Jason, I never try and speak for everyone. I only try and speak for maybe people that feel maybe similar to me, and I'll never stop doing that. And I'm sure you get that as well. You understand that as well.
I get it, mate. I get it. I'm only having
I know you are.
Teasing
I know you are. We don't ever change. We love you very much.
Please don't give us that sight in the green room before this show again, because that was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. Have you got that toilet roll yet?
Oh, I had to tie it around my ankles. It was getting. Oh, where are we going with that? We better leave that. Dal, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. And
always a pleasure.
We'll see you Monday and see what's ahead. It's going to be an interesting end to the season. Very, very interesting end to the season. And we'll see how things plan. We love you very much. Of course, we're very blessed to have the wonderful guests we have on here. Cracks, thank you ever so much. We can safely say we can maybe enjoy now the Easter period without having to plan any concerns about an emergency podcast, because it's lovely to think now we can go away, enjoy our weekend, put our feet up for Forest and be in a good spirit, right?
Correct, Rick. Yeah, listen, I don't know what Ange is going to plan for the Premier League, or if he's going to throw a few games and rest players. If he does, so be it. Amen. Look, we've got a semi-final versus Bodo Glimt. Let's not look beyond that for now, because they're no mugs. They are really, really not. And I know a lot of people are thinking after tonight, come on, we're going to Bilbao. We've got a semi-final to look at. We've got a semi-final to plan for, and we've got a semi-final to overcome. And if we do, then we're off to Bilbao in the final, whoever that is. Yeah. But if we take forward tonight's energy and passion and belief and who we are and what we are tonight, because that's who we are, mate. If we take that forward tonight, if we can bottle that up, can it, and take that into a final, we've got a chance.
Amen.
And never mind that I've got about a €20 flight from here to Bilbao, while all you in London have got about 300 quid to spend out, because no one's flying from Lanzarote to Bilbao, but I will be. I'll be there with both of my boys, and let's see where that takes us. Because honestly, I can't tell you, those of you that are under 110 years old, but have never experienced the European Cup final, it's special. It is absolutely special. Of course, the Champions League final that we had. Yeah. But if we can get over the line and get another European trophy, wow. Just wow. But temper your thoughts and beliefs, because we got to get past this semi-final first.
Yeah, and much to say again, I mean, people that watch this show, it's not only liking by Tottenham fans, it's liking by fans all around the world from different clubs. It's amazing. So listen, thank you so much again, David, for the amazing support. Keep fighting for the football club. We most certainly will do, and try and keep those standards where they belong, right at the very, very top, because people mustn't forget the standards of Tottenham. We are a cup team. Tottenham are in the semi-finals of a European trophy. They are just 2 games away from a final, and who says they can't go all the way? It's just who we are, mate. He always wins a trophy in his second season. What am I saying? Listen, we're going to leave you from the Compère Richard Cracknell, from the actor Darren Hartman, from the brilliant Jason McGovern. We have been the last word on Spurs. We couldn't, could we? From us all, take care. God bless. And as always, come on, you Spurs.